Suzanne, when you inherited a large sum of money, did you really think all of your problems were over?
Oh gosh, my dad did quite well, and then he lost all of it because he had Alzheimer's, but he had left a life insurance policy, which was very precarious. So I never really knew if the money was coming. Very strange position to be in. Like,
Uh-huh.
are you going to die and there's going to be money or there's not? The first two checks, that one of them was for the grandchildren, one of them was for me and my brother, got lost in the mail. I was like,
Whoa.
that checks through Cigna or some big huge insurance company in the mail. Didn't we have FedEx back then? So I told them they needed to issue two more checks, and I told this woman that I was going to come sit on her desk until she got me my checks if they weren't there within
Wow.
a week. So when I first received those checks, which is way before you could take a picture with your phone,
Mm-hmm.
that was it. I wrote about it in my book. I thought, this is it. Everything's solved, because I'd been through a kind of nasty divorce and didn't get as much as maybe I thought I should, although he thought I got too much. So,
Right, of course.
just the way divorces go. But I had the assurance in my hand that I could take care of myself and my children for the rest of our lives,
Wow.
which is what I did. And strangely enough, Teresa, I got really lucky because the money came in June of 2000. No, the money came in June 2007. There was
Wow.
a huge financial crisis, and the money was all sitting in cash
How
because I
smart
had
you were.
decided. Well, when my dad died and my mom died, there was just so many problems that they left me. It was just ridiculous. I had 82 different things that he was involved with, but mostly he owed them money. It was just a mess. So that was the luck of God, really,
Oh, yes.
that if I invested in the stock market, I don't know what would happen. So definitely post realizing that, I was like, whoa, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, what happened was I'd been divorced, and then I met a man who was a professional athlete in a sport that doesn't make any money. Young, 13 years younger than me, super
Wow.
hot, really hot. He really is still hot. Broker than crap. Not a good combination, ladies. Okay. Really not. Don't think about their potential. Now, I wouldn't trade. I wrote about 3 men where I repeated the same mistake over and over again. I went from the snow ski world to the water ski world. But it was just the same. And I wouldn't trade in any of those experiences. Traveled all over the world with the U.S. ski team. It was great. I know every pro, water skier. So in the end, I got a lot out of it. But at the time, when you inherit money, I look at it the same, and I'm preparing a TED Talk. I just haven't done it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Inheriting money, getting it from a divorce, winning the lottery.
Right.
Lottery winners, we have a lot of facts on.
Mm-hmm.
Most lottery winners no longer know who their friends are. I mean, I've heard that people that win a lot of money, like 200 million or something like that, they can't go
Uh-huh.
to the grocery store. They
Whoa.
can't go out anymore
Right.
because everybody's after them. I
Mm-hmm.
did not inherit $200 million. I inherited enough I still work. So put it that way, that I still need to have a job. Anyway, so they lose their friends. Most of them are not financially sophisticated enough to know how to deal with the taxes, with the this, that. I actually did know that. I got
Mm-hmm.
that part.
Uh-huh.
They, most of lottery winners lose their money within 3 to 5 years.
That's true.
My brother lost it all. I did
Every
not,
dime of the inheritance.
pretty much. He has a beat up, run down house. I don't know. We can't communicate anymore, unfortunately. I send him light and love every day, but communication is not in my good interest. So always know that if you
Oh,
have to make that choice, sometimes it's necessary. And a lot of lottery winners kill themselves.
They do. It's so sad, but they do.
So sad. I mean, look at all the really successful actresses and actors and singers and dancers, and they're dead. They got
Right.
everything that everybody looked to them. Anthony Bourdain was one of my favorite, and Kate Spade. They died within like
Yes.
2 months of each other.
Yes.
He traveled around the world, could eat whatever he wanted. And if you
Anything.
watch the movie on him, he was super charismatic guy. And I think both him and Kate, it was the emotional challenges that took them down.
That took them out. So based on what you're saying, even though you got a large inheritance, that did not solve all of your problems.
It made, I mean, Teresa, it's so hard for me because I'm not going to be able to convince your audience because they're not sitting in my shoes. And I
Mhm.
know this because I have a friend that recently told me that I have $60 million in my bank account so I can do whatever I want. I don't have, no, I don't have, I have like a 3% of that.
Uh-huh.
But I'm good at what I do and I make money. So I don't make money doing this. I do all this for free, but I make money in my other job. Um, and I had another woman just tell me the other day that she's like, "Well, you're rich." I'm like,
Wow.
so is she. She owns a very large company,
Uh-huh.
her and her husband. But
Right.
there's such a stigma around women, particularly if they inherit it. I
Right.
had a man say to me, I wrote about it in my book. He turned bright red when he was like, well, women that just inherit money shouldn't be able to call the shots.
Wow.
I did not remind him that I just told him that I inherited the money, and then he turned bright red.
Uh-huh.
Um, so that's one thing that I've learned not to take personally
Mhm.
because it can get a little under my skin. Like, you don't know who I am. You don't know my finances. You know me as a generous person because I'm really generous.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I can afford to do anything.
Right. That's true. And then they
Yeah,
don't know
they
what's going on
choose.
with you personally either, where your
No,
finances. They just look at you and they just assume.
they assume because of the kind of
Right.
car you drive or kind of
Where
houses you
you
own
live, the clothes, Suzanne, they look at everything to decide whether you're rich
or
or
poor.
whether you're broke.
And you know what, Teresa? You tell me what you think, but if you're poor, you can talk about it all day long. If you've done well, like I took the money that I got and I quadrupled it. I did
Whoa.
quite well in business.
Mhm.
Um, Still doesn't mean I don't have to work, but
Right.
because I own a lot of properties, so I have to take care of them. I'm trying to provide for my children,
Mhm.
and I did certain things with them. Do you have children?
I do. 2 adults,
Okay, how old are they?
27 and 24.
Okay, they're almost coming out of their childhood.
Yeah. I
Anyway,
wonder
I did
sometimes.
something like, for example, I gave some money to the children, an appropriate amount, but more than they ever had when they
Mhm.
graduated from college. So
Uh-huh.
19, 20 years old.
Uh-huh.
21, maybe one of them was. And I told them that this money was not just to sit there. And it was kind of to find out, like, are you using it to better your education, to buy a new roof for your house, things that, and still be in touch with the financial agent to hopefully continue it to grow so it doesn't just
Mhm.
fall down to nothing.
Mhm.
Luckily, I have three kids that couldn't care less about drugs and alcohol. I don't know why, because I love wine. Um,
Thank goodness.
doesn't make any sense to me. I was like, I produce three healthy, happy children, but they didn't blow it,
Mhm.
and I gave them the opportunity and the support, and in case they needed the emotional support
Mhm.
around the money, because now they had more than their friends, some of them,
Mhm. Mhm.
that they had me to talk to now rather than just waiting till the end.
Right.
Here we go. Go
Right.
learn to sink or swim.
Mhm.
And they've all proved great at,
Wonderful.
yeah, it's been fantastic. But I think it's really important. It's funny that, sorry, I'm going to switch subject here for a minute. I,
Uh-huh.
I think almost more men have read my book than women.
Really?
I think there's two reasons behind it. One, I just talked to one of them today. He's like, "Oh my God, you wrote a brilliant book.
Uh-huh.
Like, can you please leave me a review? Anyway, I think they're doing it because they're trying to figure out what the heck us women are doing over here.
Mm-hmm. And thinking too.
Yeah, we take so many things personally, which is
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that changed my life, is to learn to not take things personally. But two, I think that a lot of them are successful men who have children and daughters, and they're trying to learn what I'm trying to teach them about educating those daughters so that
Right.
they're emotionally prepared.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
You
Well,
know, and
that's good.
can I share my 3 pillars with you?
Yes, go ahead.
So this is what I got out of my book. Post writing it, I came up with these 3 pillars, which are smattered all throughout my book.
Mm-hmm.
One, sorry, I know what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Personal responsibility. And that means, when you need to have self-care, take self-care. If you need to pay your taxes, which everyone, or get your taxes ready, which nobody I think likes, you got to set up some time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So personal responsibility for both your self-care and your responsibilities. Say no if it's not a hell yeah. And for me, that translates directly into women that are in new relationships with partners.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give away the house too quickly. Be
Hmm.
kind and loving, but you get caught up in all these feelings of, oh my God, Ted is the best man I ever met. I'm going to help
Mm-hmm.
him buy a new car. Just wait. Just
Wait
wait a
a
little.
long time.
Wait a long time. And if you want to, there's lots of women out there on the planet now that are making more. It's
Right.
fact.
Mm-hmm.
So some of us have to be breadwinners and take care of the other person, but
Right.
just do it slowly. And
Do
the
it
third
real
thing,
slow.
which really changed my life, was learning how to not take things personally.
And
Whether
how did you
somebody,
manage that?
well, I had this experience. I knew I was taking things personally. I was constantly crying. I grew up in a family where I was the helper, the caregiver, a 2 on the
Mm-hmm.
Enneagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I was constantly trying to make peace, and I'll do it. I'll just do it this one last time. And then I recreated those relationships at post inheriting the money, where like, I'll just give this money just this one last time, to
Mm-hmm.
lovers, to business people, to my children. And then I would take it personally. And I would go,
Wow.
I don't want to give to you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I followed pillar two,
Right.
and said no if it's not a hell yeah, and practice from the beginning, then my life would have gone a lot differently. But I learned to take things not personally. It was the weirdest thing. I was on the end of a water ski dock. I love to water ski. I want to go to the Senior World Water Ski Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a group of people sitting there, and I knew this story that this man had told me. And in the past, I remembered that the 2 other times in my life where I'd said something about someone he knew, he got upset and didn't talk to me for like 2 years. Then we would rekindle,
Wow.
and it happened again. So he was there. It was his story. Should have probably taken him somewhere else, but I asked him
Uh-huh.
in front of the people, as good as I can get, hey, would you mind if I shared that story? And he's like, what story? And I reminded him. He's like, sure, go ahead.
Uh-huh.
And I did, and everybody laughed. And I left that water ski dock, and I was like, you did something differently.
Good.
Wow. And then I started practicing over and over and over again. And sometimes it's hard to see where you get stuck. I don't know, Teresa, do your kids ever roll their eyes at you and say, she's told that story before?
Not as much as they used to.
That's because they're growing up.
Yes.
But my children are 30, almost 35, 31 and
Mm-hmm.
29. And by the way, when I had young children and I learned about somebody who had kids my age, I was like, I can't talk to you. You're way too old. But
Right.
still here and still ticking. But I often got caught with them where I would tell the same story over and over again, and then they would roll their eyes. So I took it personally.
Mm-hmm.
I would be in the bathroom. I look forward to the family vacation, which are few and far between when all 3 of them are there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get there and they roll their eyes, and I'm like, I'm not good. I wasn't a good
Mhm.
mother.
Right.
I learned that some of the stories that I was telling, just don't tell them anymore.
Right.
They were like,
Right.
you can't do it. You're not capable. You've told this story 8,000 times.
Mhm.
Usually a story where I wanted to be the one that was right.
Right. Mhm.
Maybe I didn't want my ex-husband to get the credit for something that I should get
That
credit
you do
for.
right. Mhm.
You know what I did? I just stopped telling the story. They said, you can't. It's impossible. I'm telling it here for learning,
Mhm.
but I've never mentioned it again. And do you know what? There's just a less eye rolling going on. And I had to apply this to many stories that I said.
Mhm.
I was trying to be right and get people to be on my side.
Right. And women, we do that. And Suzanne, can you tell the listeners when you inherited all this money, how did it affect your life? Did it affect your relationships like with men
Yeah.
and with your friends, like how we talked about the lottery runners? How
Yep.
did inheriting a large sum of money affect your life?
Well, at first, I guarantee you, unless you have some training, you're going to think you are invincible.
Wow.
You can afford anything. Raise your hand at that auction and buy that $10,000 trip to Italy.
Mhm. Mhm.
I still like to go to Italy and I still like to ride my bike, but to think about it a lot more and what's in
Mhm.
line with my goals.
Mhm.
So it definitely affected until I figured out, whoa, I blew a lot of money. I better stop. Otherwise, I'm not going
Right.
to have enough to make it through. I gave
Mhm.
one boyfriend, this is just embarrassing to say out loud. After I think we'd been dating for maybe a year and a half, and I cut
Uh-huh.
him a $200,000 check. I
Well,
know,
wow.
I would laugh because I thought that this was the man of my dreams. And I wanted to make sure that he felt part of. Now, nobody's going to feel part of until you give him half. Wasn't quite prepared to do that. The second birthday, I wrote about all this in my book. I gave him $100,000 check, but this time it was a real check. I held on to that check so tightly when he tried to get it out of my hands, it practically ripped.
Oh
I
boy.
gave him a few other things too, right in the very beginning. Oh my God, I could just kill myself. Could I use that $300,000 back right now? Yeah, I could help my kid buy a house. Um, it broke my heart that I was so stupid.
Mhm.
And part of the reason that our relationship broke down was not me giving him the money. It was me back and forth constantly. You're only here, you're too young. You're only here for the money. This constant barrage of
Mhm.
breaking down the relationship because of
Mhm.
my shame and guilt.
Mhm.
And I did the same thing again shortly after I mean, we were going to get married and everything. And then that didn't work because I got this sinking feeling in my gut. And I'm like, don't do it. Still love him to death, but so happy I'm not married to him. And I
Wow.
did it again with another one, not quite as bad. And then I did it again, not quite as bad, but I didn't set good boundaries. And really, honestly, since I split up with the last one, which is in 2000, so it's been a while, he's much better off without me. I talk to him all the time.
Really?
I don't offer to help him. I just be there to support him, and
So
he needs
why
support.
when you get into relationships, why do you tell men that you have money?
They walk into my house.
Oh, and that's how they know you have money.
I've been asked this question quite a bit, Teresa, so I appreciate you asking it.
Mhm.
If we were meeting on some kind of just out, there is certainly no reason to tell anyone
Mhm.
which financial position is. Although I also wrote in my book how I was on like my fifth date with a man,
Mhm.
not the ones I wrote with, but I wrote about a lot of men and a lot of
Mhm.
women. Fifth date, and I decided because I was trying to do something differently. So I'm like, I'm going to broach this subject of where you're at with your finances.
Okay.
I used to ask people, I'm like, do you have a car and a house? A tent or an RV does not count. I seriously had a man say, I live in a tent.
Oh, wow. I think
I
I
was
probably
like,
would have put on my roller skates.
yeah, well, no, I'm not that bright because I'm a caretaker, so I'm this, I'm such a good person to learn from if you're in this situation, because I think there's many women that would forget that they had roller skates.
Mhm.
Oh, I'll take care of you. I see it over and over again. I've talked to thousands of women.
Mhm.
So I know it happens. And because we feel some responsibility, or because we were the lucky ones.
Right.
We got the money. They
Right.
don't have the money. That's true
Right.
for your friends.
Mhm.
Oh, why was I the lucky one? I need to make sure that I take care of everyone.
Right.
I don't take care of everyone.
You
I
can't.
take care of a lot of people, but I can't
Mhm.
take care of everyone.
Right. Right.
It's
And
not
so
possible.
your mom, did she leave an inheritance too, or did your parents die at the same time?
No, she died. He died first, 3 years before her, and he was very sick. He had Alzheimer's, so it was a
Uh-huh.
long, painful 5 years. Somebody asked me, when did he get Alzheimer's? I was like, 30 years ago, because he
Uh-huh.
would say, I forgot, I forgot, I forgot.
Mhm.
I tested him one time and I figured out that he didn't always forget. He just used that as an excuse. But my
Uh-huh.
mother died on New Year's Eve, 2006, because she was the
Mhm.
party girl.
Mhm.
He was the spendthrift
Mhm.
money. No, no, no. And she, I don't know, check this out. I wrote about this in my book too. At one point, she bought a green Jaguar convertible
Oh, wow.
and parked it in the one car garage in our very small little house that we had.
Uh-huh.
And they never discussed it.
She just did it.
No, she just did it. And they never had a conversation about it. I figured out years later when I was writing this book where she got the money from, because she didn't have enough money. She got an allowance. He had her on a
Mhm.
very tight leash.
Mhm.
So she got it from the inheritance that my grandmother left for me that apparently didn't quite make it to me.
Well, wow.
Ooh. Now,
That's so she used your money.
for dresses, for clothes, she was a shopaholic for a brand new Jaguar, which back then I think cost like $80,000, which is nothing compared to cars today. You could,
Right.
whatever. I don't know how much it would cost, but at the time, I was like, that's so funny. So I learned that the love and money were, I mean, they were so intertwined in my childhood, because my dad made it, my mother spent the money, had the allowance, and if you were good, you got money. If you were bad, you were told you were worthless. And so there
Mhm.
was all these things that set me up for a total roller coaster of life. Then add in an inheritance, and I had a lot of stuff to work on.
Mhm.
And it's not like you get somewhere, you arrive, and you figure out how to do all this thing called life.
Right.
Constant barrage of
Mhm.
people, even the guy that cuts you off in traffic,
Mhm.
or says, lady driver,
Right.
and somewhere in there, if you did something wrong, smile and say sorry,
Yeah. And
wave.
keep going.
But if you didn't, then don't take it personally.
Right. Never take it personally. They don't even know you.
They
So,
don't even know you. And how do we know if somebody cuts you off that they didn't, that their wife said that she wants a divorce this morning? Like, it's none of your business. Even if you have to give bad news to someone, I was talking to a friend and she has to deliver some bad news about a will
mhm.
to her brother who's not in it.
Mhm.
So, just some free advice here. Remember, he's probably going to lash out. Dying to know how that conversation went. Probably going to lash out because he's not going to be too happy, even though he probably saw the writing on the wall.
Mhm.
How he responds is none of your business.
Right.
Your business is to hold a safe, kind, loving container.
That's true. That's true. Well, Miss Suzanne, I need you to tell the listeners the name of your book and where they can buy it.
Absolutely. I just bought a copy of Teresa's book, so I'm looking very much forward to reading
Well,
that.
thank you.
My book is called A Woman on Top: My Journey of Self-Discovery Through Love and Money. And basically, you can just put in A Woman on Top, and there's other books called A Woman on Top, so you have to put in at least part of my name, Suzanne, and the Ley of Leydecker, and it will come up.
Okay.
It's been extremely well received. There's like incredible reviews about both men and women. That's how I know that so many men have read my book, because it's almost equal. Out of my
Mhm.
47 reviews I have, I'm trying to get to 50. Um, Half of them are men, which is
Mhm.
really interesting to me. And I'm also on Instagram, where I do short clips all the
Mhm.
time, on LinkedIn,
Okay.
on TikTok, Facebook. I'm everywhere. Um,
Okay.
and
All
so,
right.
any listeners out there that would like, I also have a website at SuzanneLeydecker.com. Reach
Okay.
out, talk to me, share with me about what's going on with you, because I already know what I think.
Right.
I
Right.
get information, and how I've developed this whole thing is by listening to other people,
Mhm.
trying to figure out how this can be done better, some
Right.
situation or another. And I'm
Mhm.
very good at it.
Well,
So,
good, good. All
yeah, so
right, listeners.
for
If
my life, that's good.
Yes, it is. It is. Well, Miss Suzanne, I want to thank you so much for joining us. And ladies, if you've inherited a large sum of money, or if you're working and making a lot of money, don't give these guys your money. Thank you so much for joining us. And please go to Amazon, go to the website, purchase Miss Suzanne books so you can learn tools on how to manage large amounts of money.
Women
And
are stepping
Suzanne,
up. Yeah, women are stepping up in the planet and making more. We have to deal with this.
yes, we do. And Suzanne, thank you again for that nugget. And I look forward to reading your book myself.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.